Twitter by Cassandra Gaduti. This is my Twitter account, Casey Gaduti. I have had this account for quite a while, if you can't already tell. Um, it started out using it for recipes, but really it's recipes and marketing plus other interests. And I also set it up for fall. Why is what you are doing on Twitter different than Facebook or blogging? On Twitter, I am often collecting information to study as well as recipes, and I am starring items. I love to collect things off Twitter. That's my biggest thing. I go and I collect and collect and collect. As you can tell from this, that's how I figured out how to follow the things that I do. I did it on my iPad. When I was trying to figure out who to follow, I decided to use the hashtag recipe. It's like, well, who am I going to find? Who am I going to find? So I decided, well, I'll put in the hashtag recipe. And with that, I found all these people, and I started to follow people who were putting out recipes. These are the people to follow. It did turn out that some of the people who I was following were people I was already following on Google Plus, and new on Google Plus. But that was the way I started on Twitter. I did learn on Twitter, and it's very hard since when you work on Twitter, you can only really follow as many people as you have following you, although it starts out that you can follow up to 2,000 people, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have 2,000 people following you. So you can start out following 2,000 people. Well, you can follow 2,000 great people, but these 2,000 great people, stars, whoever they are, won't exactly be following you. You might only have 200 people following you. What you find out is you really want to follow the people who are following you and shed the people who are not following you. But follow the influencers who you're going to get information out of, or who, even if they're not following you, which some of them may, if you share the influencer's information, that influencer will share your information even if they're not following you. If I have that all correct, because I did have an influencer who will do that. They will go and share your stuff even if they're not following you, and they will thank you for it. But still, you should follow people who are not, some people who are not following you, if you can get information from them. As detailed as that gets, which I think I have all written down here. And you keep shedding until you get to the point, because it kind of works out the same on you get to a point where you have too many followers. You have more followers than the number of people you will want to follow. That's where it actually ends up coming to. You work until you get to that point. That as detailed as it is coming out. In my experiment with hashtags, I put out a hashtag. I watched the movie Man of Steel recently, and let's just say I didn't like the movie. And so I decided to just like look into Man of Steel and see what would happen. Well, I looked into Man of Steel, and the Man of Steel hashtag just turned out to be ads all over the place. The influencers I do follow are Christy TV. Christy TV has her own television show, which I have watched, and it's very interesting. She talks to different influencers herself, influencers in different areas who have grown in their established areas, and she often puts out life quotes. David Leite, who is very big in the food area, who has actually 2 brands on Twitter. He has himself and he has Leite Culinaires. Jacqueline Twill, who has her, who talks about business and marketing, who I've had conversations with, and Lolly Daskell, who discusses leadership. As for conversations, well, I retweeted how to attract an uninterested buyer, which turned out to be very interesting because I retweeted it and it retweeted 4 times from my followers, and then I got a thank you for it. So this is all that happened from my retweet. And then down here is my thank you. And here's when I sent out one of David Leite's recipes. I got a thank you and all that went from there. When I shared one of his recipes. And I believe I shared one of Diane Henry's recipes. My Twitter list, which we have to leave here momentarily to go to the list. Since I said I've been doing this for a long time, I am part of many lists. I'm part of marketing lists, community managers, business lists in Connecticut, Connecticut News, arts, because I had been doing some stuff with the Iverson Playhouse, for which I volunteer, Connecticut People, creative stuff. Just so you can see how these are all the lists that I'm a part of on Twitter. Oops, wrong button. As for how effective is what how effective is Twitter? Really, I think Twitter is effective. But what don't you get from Twitter? Well, because of the way Twitter is set up most of the time, I only read the headlines and I'm not reading the articles. As I said, I send the articles to my computer, and there are so many good articles that I'm not reading them right away. And I get to them later. And sometimes when I try to read certain things, if I'm looking on my iPad or my iPhone, they're not always that readable as compared to Facebook. On Facebook, you see more, and there is more of an explanation from people because people are expected to give more of an explanation. But from what I see, really, we don't need the explanation. That's what's so great about Twitter. I mean, we can give that little explanation, but we don't need it. The headline is good enough. We can give a little extra for the headline, like we can say it was a total flop, but Twitter proves you don't need the extra explanation. No explanation is needed in presenting a piece. The headline is perfect the way it is. I mean, we can see it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down if we have an extra conversation piece that we want to add. That's about all I want to say. I'm a big Twitter pleaser, as you can tell from all the stuff I do. That's about it. Thanks a lot, and I hope you enjoyed my piece. Bye.